Hello, my name is Miss Sasha. I'm a teaching artist in the PACE Arts program through the Acadiana Center for the Arts with the Lafayette Parish school system in Lafayette, Louisiana. Today, we are going to create a tortoise, and we're going to learn all about the tortoise with some fun tortoise facts. The supplies that you need are going to be real simple. You need a white piece of paper, scissors, glue, an assortment of crayons, including black, brown, green, and some colors for your flower, and green construction paper, and that should do it. If you need to pause the video to gather your supplies, go right ahead. Whenever you return, all you have to do is press play. Now that you've gathered all your supplies, it's time to get started. We're going to work on the background of our tortoise. One thing I forgot in the supplies that you might need, and not for a little while, is some recycling from your recycle bin. We're going to use the brown side or the inside to create our actual tortoise. So, tortoises are different from turtles. Tortoises live only on the land, and their toes are fused together. They look somewhat like an elephant's foot. They do not swim like a sea turtle or a turtle. You might find that tortoises live in many different climates or habitats, mostly where it's somewhat warm. So they live in all the continents except for Antarctica. Let's see. Tortoises have been around for over 200 million years, longer than lizards, birds, mammals, crocodiles, or snakes. They can live over 100 years old. Harriet from Australia was a tortoise that lived over 175 years. That's a really, really long time. So we're going to work on the background where our turtle is going to be living for today. Okay, so let's get your black. We're going to make like a little, it's almost like a little stone or a little gravel or sand. I'm going to use black and brown to do it, but I also have a gray crayon. It's not easy always to find a gray crayon, so I'm giving you some other options. Okay, so we're going to go from corner to corner. And it doesn't have to be a straight curve line, meaning it doesn't have to be perfect, just curved. You can have a little bit of wave in it. I mean, we are working with some like stones, right? So I went ahead and put a few lines in there. And what you can do is just kind of give it a little shadowing or a little shading. If you press harder or softer, then you'll get a different shade of black. Watch, if I press really hard, see, it's going to be really dark. And then if I come back and press a little bit lighter, right? The lighter you press, the grayer it looks. So if I start that off and then kind of shadow it into there, right? And we're going to go ahead and add some little rocks or pebbles or stones, and however you want to do it. You can do them big and small. You can pile them on top of each other. You can put them on both sides, big ones, little ones. Go ahead and you can add some texture. Do you know what texture is? Texture is the way something feels. So since our paper is flat, in order to make it look like it has a texture, we'll add different lines and shapes and shadowing and shading. So to make our stone look more like a stone, I might add some little dots on it, right? If you want to make some little black pebbles, you can color those in. You can put them wherever you want. Remember, our turtle's going to be in the middle, so you don't have to put any in the middle. If you want to, you can, though. Little black pebbles here and there. How's it coming? It's looking pretty good. If you do have gray, you can use your gray to kind of color it in. If you don't, then I just did mine with very, very light black. Watch. Or gray. So yeah, rock's texture might be a little bumpy or hard, whereas grass might be smooth or soft, right? So someone's hair might be rough, whereas somebody else's might be silky. So it just depends. That's what texture means. It's the way something feels, okay? So when you think you're done with your black and your gray, if you have gray, you can then pick up your brown. Look, I'm going to go ahead and peel it just a little bit, right? If you can't get to your crayon, sometimes you have to peel it. It still works just fine. And I'm going to color in these rocks with gray, with the brown. It could be sand. I'll give you a little minute to color in those rocks. I didn't do a very good job. I'm going to go back and fix it. They're rocks, really. There's really not too many wrong answers about that, right? While you're filling in your rocks, I'll give you a few more tortoise facts. Let's see. Oh, a group of tortoises is called a creep. That's kind of weird, right? A group of kittens would be a litter, right? So a group of tortoise would be a creep. But you probably won't see too many times of a group of tortoise because they're more solitary creatures, meaning they prefer to be alone than in a group. So you more than likely will not run into a group of tortoise. Okay? So I'm also going to take my brown and add a little bit to those lines in my with the black and the gray. Just adds a little bit more texture to it, right? I'm not completely coloring it in. I'm just adding some detail, right? Okay. Well, I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and add some grasses. I'm going to use my green. If you have more than one shade of green, you can use that too. Let's see. A light green and a dark green. Here's my dark. Here's my light. I did purple irises in mine. If you have a different flower that you want to add or more than one flower, we can probably do that. Okay, so I'm going to add some zigzag lines for grasses, like they're peeking out behind those little rocks, right? Look, little zigzags, up, down, up, down, up, down. And if you want to go back and add some of the light green, that's fine. Remember, my tortoise is gonna be right here, so I don't really need to add anything right there. You got it? And then we can add some tall stems like this, so we can put our flowers on the top. So we're gonna have them pretty tall, because you know the tortoise would be down at the bottom, and so we want our flowers to be sticking up the top. So I'm gonna make some tall stems. They're almost like tall triangles. Look. Tall triangles. And then you could color them in. You could either color them in with the same color like I did for these, or you could color them in with a light green. Right? How's that look? Great. Let's add some flowers. We could do a few different flowers. We'll do one purple iris if you like the way these look. I think they kind of look like little bunny ears with one sticking up at the top. We know bunnies don't have 3 ears, but that's an easy way to explain it. Or you could just do it like little ovals. Look, oval, oval, and one at the top. And then I did a little zigzag line. And I'm going to color the tops with the purple, look. I colored a little bit lighter so I could still see those lines. This one I used a different color purple, and that worked out great too. And in the inside of the iris, of this purple iris, I put a little yellow. Okay, we could do a different flower over here. Maybe get yellow. And let's put a circle. And then maybe you have a red. You could get a red and you can make some petals with the red. Look, mine's going to go off the page. I went around my yellow. And then maybe I'll color it in with orange. Look. That looks good. Maybe we could do a tulip. Let's see if I have enough room. I think I might have enough room to do one right there. A tulip could be, we could do it with red as well and color it in with a pink or something. A tulip's like the letter U. Ooh, this is kind of pink. The letter U with a zigzag line. Down, up, down, up, down, up. And then you could color it in. You could color it in with a different color or the same one. I'll do it with the same one this time. How's that? And maybe I'll do, let's see, how about maybe a little blue flower. Maybe this one will just have a bunch of little flowers. Watch, I'll show you. It can always have more than one flower. Look, it's a little circle and then little lines, right? A little circle and then little lines that go all the way around, right? Looks pretty good. So while I have my blue, I can go ahead and make some swirls on the sky as if it was like windy. So since we can't really see wind, I would think that the swirls in the sky kind of represent the wind. Okay, so watch. Swirl, maybe a little one here. Remember, our turtle's going to be right there, so we don't really need too many more, right? And then look, I have this blue crayon that I peeled all of the paper off. And if you take your little fingers and pinch it, then you could rub on the paper on the background. Look. You can go even right over your flowers. They don't mind. I'm just pressing really lightly just to take the white out of the paper. See? Look at that. That looks amazing, doesn't it? Good job on your background. Our backgrounds look awesome, so now it's time to get started on our turtle, our actual tortoise, right? So this is what we needed the cereal box for. I have a little bit of tape on mine. I'm going to tape it up against this right here. Okay, perfect. We're going to draw this with our black crayon. All right, we're going to work on the tortoise's shell first, okay? Here we go. It's on top of my paper, so I know that my shell needs to be nice and big. Here's a long line, a long horizontal line, and then we're going to go up and around. Watch. Curve up and around. Perfect. All right, we're going to put another curve line on the bottom right here. We're not going to go all the way to the end, but close. Look. Curve right there. That's the under part of his shell, like this picture right here. Okay? All right. Now we're going to make 2 feet and 1 head, but we're going to do it on the other part of our cardboard so we can glue them on top. Okay? So the feet look just like the body, only they're a lot smaller. You see, look. Here's a little horizontal line and a curve. And one just like it, so we can have 2, right? We know they have 4, but we don't see the other 2 because they're in the back. So we're going to do another one just like it. Curve up. And a nice round head. Make it big enough so we can add his facial features, right? The things on his face. His toenails, remember, they don't have webbed feet like the sea turtle does. Their feet are more fused together like an elephant would be. We're going to go bump, bump, bump on his feet. Both of them. Those are like his big nails. These big guys right here. Look. Bump, bump, bump. Got it? Great. Now we're going to do his little face. Look. See his cute little face? It kind of goes across like a little curved line. Watch, you go. If you want to put a little dot right there, close to the bottom, you could do curve up and curve up. That's his little mouth, right? Right above that, he has two little nostrils, two little dots for his nose. Watch. Like that. And they have pretty tiny little eyes. You could do them like this, or you could just do two little dots like this. Whatever you think is easiest. Okay? That's perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get our brown crayon. And the first thing we're going to do with our brown crayon is color his little toenails. Now, the color of the tortoise's shell depends on where he lives. If he lives in a warmer climate, his shell is going to be lighter. If he lives in a cooler climate, then his shell will be darker. So it just depends on where they live. And look at all the different designs that these tortoises have on their shell. So there's lots of different kinds of tortoises, right? So we have the Indian tortoise or an African spurred tortoise, a radiated tortoise. There's all different species of tortoise. Okay? A tortoise is a reptile, just so you know, because of its scaly skin. His head and his legs have scaly skin. So in order for it to look like he has scaly skin, in a minute we're going to use our crayon to add that. Now if you notice there's not too many green tortoises. This one's a little shaded of green, but we're going to put green on his shell so his little shell shows up. Okay? See, look how cool this is. That's a close-up of the shell. Okay, so here we go. With the brown, let's go ahead and add some designs on his shell. Okay, so you might want to really, on this one behind there, all I did was add some different curved lines on his back or on the back of his shell. And then I just kind of started adding lines to make his shell look more like this, right? No wrong answers though. Okay? And you can even put some down here too. If you want to go back over them a little bit, we're going to end up adding some green to it as well. While you're making your tortoise's shell super cool, I'll give you a few more facts, okay? Remember, there's no wrong answers to how you do it. You could do a bunch of circles, you could do a bunch of squares. All of them are fine. I did mine very different over here, okay? Let's see. Tortoises use the roof of their mouth to smell. I don't know how they do that, but they do. They can hide their head and their forelegs in their shell, and they do that for protection. If they get scared, they do that. They move very, very slowly. They're not in a rush to get anywhere. Tortoises are herbivores, meaning they eat lots of plants and vegetation, and they cannot swim. The tortoise cannot swim. Let's see. Oh, the scales on the tortoise on the tortoise are known as scutes, S-C-U-T-E-S, and they are more like fingernails or hooves, like on a horse's hoof, and they are, it helps to protect them against injury, damage, and infection. So that's pretty important, right? Okay, go ahead and get your green, a dark green out. We're going to add lots of scales, and the scales are going to be like little U's, okay? So like on his little head, you can come and add, because we're going to go over that with the brown. So on there and on his feet. So we have the scales there on his head and on his feet. That's their scaly skin. And then on his shell, you can go ahead and add a little bit more green. We're going to go back and add more brown. I just kind of colored it in a little bit. We're going to fill it in with the brown. Okay? Got it? When you're all done adding some green, get your brown again and go ahead and color lightly over his little scaly skin. Just really, really lightly. I'm barely going over it. And lightly over his little head, because our cardboard box is already kind of brown, so we don't need to go over it too much. And then you can come and lightly go over your brown. See that? Very lightly. Perfect. Now that we have all of our tortoise parts drawn, we can start cutting him out and assembling him onto his background. I have this green paper here so we can add some more of the parts to his shell, making it look even more textured and awesome, right? So go ahead and carefully cut out your tortoise's shell. If you accidentally cut anything off, don't worry. We can glue everything back together. If you need help cutting it out because it might be a little bit thick, maybe ask your mom or your dad or a sibling. Okay, here's my shell. Now I'm going to get his little head. I'm not cutting any of my crayon off. I'm going around the edge. It's okay if you're not right on the line. And then I have his two little feet. So I know a tortoise cannot swim, but he can still hold his breath for a really, really long time. And they do this when they're scared or startled and they go to hide into their shell. So what they do is they have to empty their lungs before they go into their shell. So they need to exhale when they get startled and they're ready to hide. So sometimes they say you can hear him exhaling, but right before they go into their shell to hide. You know, a tortoise can be a pet, but be aware that, remember, they can live like for up to 100, or they can live for 100 years and sometimes up to 250. So that's a long, long time. So if you're thinking about getting a tortoise for a pet, you got to think about having it for a very long time. And they get really, really big. So they can go from very small to very big. Now, I thought this was a cool, fun fact that when you scratch the tortoise's shell, they really can feel you rubbing them or petting them or scratching them. So sometimes they'll kind of rock back and forth, you know, because they're excited and happy that you're rubbing his little shell. All right, let's go ahead and get our shell, this part. Put some glue on the back. That, see? And we're going to put him, I'm going to put him a little bit above my rocks down here. I'm going to press. Okay. There. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on his little feet. 1 and 2. So I have a little bit of glue on each. See? and it's going to go more towards the corner of his shell, just like these guys are off to the side, you see? Off to the side. So I'm going to put it a little bit on this side and a little bit on this side. There we go. And before we put his head, let's see, watch. See, you could stop here if you want. So if you're done, you can stop here. If not, you can take this green paper that I have right here and a green crayon, if you'd like. And all I did was make a bunch of circles on my construction paper. Can you see that? And then I went and cut them out. But I left an edge when I cut around the circles. So when I cut around them, I kind of left a little bit of an edge, and I'll show you why. Watch. So I could still see that. So when I go to glue them on my shell, they have a little bit of green in there. So remember, you can stop now if you like yours just the way it is. I'm going to move ahead and show you. All I'm going to do is glue a few of these shapes. I just wanted to add a few more parts to my shell. Watch. Look, you can tuck it. And I think I'll put another one right here in the middle. My head's going to go there, so I'm going to move this up like that. And then you can put your little head. Don't put glue on his face. Now you want to go a little bit above this little curved line. Look. And you could press it on. There we have a cute little tortoise. And look, these two are different colors, just like some of these on this page down here. Remember, they're all different colors depending upon where they live and the climate with which they live in, right? The other thing you can do if you want to, you can add some little triangles of grass. I'll show you. I'm cutting some. It's just triangles. And that way it looks like he might be hiding. Look, a little triangle of grass. Maybe one right here, like it's right in front of his foot. Look. See? Some over here. There you go. See? You could add tissue paper to add to your flowers. Whatever you want to do to add on and to make it even more fancy. Thank you for drawing a tortoise with me and learning about these fun tortoise facts. You can find all of our PACE online art classes on the Acadiana Center for the Arts YouTube channel. You can also get these lessons on AOC as part of the Learn United program, accessible on AOC on Cox Channel 16 or LUS Channel 4. The kindergarten lessons air at 8, and the first and second grade lessons air at 9. Some lessons will be in visual arts, and some will be in creative movement. So be sure to come back and make art with us tomorrow. If you're interested in supporting programs like this, visit the Acadiana Center for the Arts.org, the nonprofit who manages the PACE program. Spread the word, share our videos, and keep making art.